So what I'm going to do is walk you through my process of how I've set up our plan and what our plan is for next season. I've got pictures, I will pop things up on the screen, and let's just get into it. Hi everyone, it's Phaedra from Noble Flowers. I'm back again. So this week what I thought I would show you is how I planned the flowers for next season. So we've just hit autumn here in Australia, or fall, depending on where you are in the world. And so it's starting to cool down, and we actually had a really cool summer compared to other summers, and more rainfall than normal. And autumn has seemed to come on fast, but it didn't matter because I already had my plan, which is awesome. I just got to get one more thing. I just remembered. I will be back. I'm back. Gotta start again. So those who've been following along, you will know that this season was our practice season, which means we planted a whole heap of different things, just small amounts of them. We tried different ways of doing things. We tried different garden bed types, which I still haven't done the video on that, but I will. We really just kind of had, really it was just a practice year, but it has informed how we move forward from here. And we made a little bit of money along the way. I haven't done the paperwork yet, but I think we've probably just almost broken even with what we've spent and the money we've made back. So that is a really, really good outcome for us. That is excellent. So I'm here on my veranda, and we've got the little plant hospital in the background. They're my plants that, well, some of them are kind of looking all right. This one up here needs a water, but I'm outside today because the kids are inside and they're making noises and the baby's asleep. So I'm going to try and do this quickly while they're occupied. So probably our very, very, very first piece of information was we had a spreadsheet, and this was actually from theseedcollection.com.au. I'll pop a link in the description to this video. But it lists for each month, it lists what flowers are going to grow. So what we did, we actually didn't start until March last year. So it's been a year. Let me just get down here. So I'll get to a page where I've got some good notes. Okay, so by July, I had actually started really planting a lot of seeds and just keeping notes on those. We started planting seeds much earlier than what I guess is recommended, but it's because we put them in grow tunnels, and I'll pop a picture up of that. And we did that because we didn't have a hothouse, but it actually worked out better because they're only about this tall, so the heat really condenses in there and it stays warm. So throughout the middle of our winter, very heavy frost, we were actually germinating seeds, and they were really slow, but by the time it warmed up they were ready to go in the ground, which for us was amazing. And we're going to do the same thing again this year. So that was another really good reason to do a practice year. You can experiment with how long, you can kind of push the seasons a little bit, figure out how it works for you. There were some things that just didn't germinate for months because it was just too cold for them. So we now know, wait until later in the year, well, later in our season to plant those things. So we went along with the year. We kept really good notes on things. And now what we have is a list of flowers that we absolutely love. I mean, there's things that grew, and they grew, well, pretty well, but we just didn't love it. And I don't know, we kind of feel like we want this to be not just a business, but also an experience, and we want to love it. And with what we're going to do in the future, we want other people to love it too. And I'll talk about that more probably on another day. But from that, what I then did was I started writing lists of flowers. So I used a couple of books. Probably my main two books was Lisa Mason Ziegler's Cool Flowers and Floret's Cut Flower Garden. So this one kind of helped us along our first year, just we had no clue in the world when to plant things or how to plant them or anything. So this really got us started with, you know, the spacing and all of that and how different things grow. But when I was actually putting together the plan, it was this book that helped me do that. So throughout that practice year, I actually identified 4 distinct times throughout our season where we need to plant our seeds. So for us, there's cool flowers, which is coming up. So that's 6 weeks before the first frost. So I call that the autumn seeds. Then we've got early spring, which is 6 weeks before the last frost. Late spring, early summer. So that's sort of, you know, most of our middle of summer things. And then we've got our midsummer as well. I don't know if that's picking up because it's so bright. And then our midsummer planting, and that's the last flowers that we'll get in the ground before the season kind of ends and the frost hits. So that's what we've done. For instance, for the cool flowers, which now is coming up, we didn't do cool flowers last year. This is our first year doing cool flowers. And if you don't know what cool flowers are, I 1,000,000% recommend this book. And Lisa Mason Ziegler is so giving with her information. She's in flower groups that I'm in. She has a lot of really good free content on Facebook. If you follow her on Instagram, lots of free information on YouTube, but if you follow her on Instagram and Facebook, she's always posting. Like, she really has this passion and want to help people. So, you know, forking out the money for this book, and I actually really like the tiny size of it because it's handy. Forking out the money for this book was just a no-brainer. I was just going to do it. I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Anyway, first year doing cool flowers. So I went through there and listed all the cool flowers that she recommends that you start in autumn or fall. And I wrote those down. Some I didn't want to do, some I'd already done, and I know that I want to do them again. And it's almost time. We need to get these seeds in. So let me just show you. So this is the autumn cool flowers. I might probably have to pop a picture up. And then our early spring. And there's a couple of things that we'll add in. Late spring, early summer. I've only got 2 things on there, but I also need to succession plant a few things, and I haven't written those down yet. So I will get onto that, but that's something you need to remember as well. On your plan, you need to be writing your successions. I'm actually going to have some planning sheets that, you know, have 4 key times for you to plan this out yourself. So I'll let you know more about that, because the hard part is the only way I know to get these free things to you is via Etsy, which isn't free because I get charged a crap load of fees when I use Etsy, so then I have to charge you. Even though at this point I've got one thing on there and I think it was like $1.60 Australian. So it's pretty cheap, but still, I will figure it out. Okay, so back to this. So I wrote my list out, and then what I did, and I'm a really visual person and I have trouble planning things. So what I did was I just got some paper and I drew up a calendar, you know, every month of the year and the dates down the side. And I started blocking out things that were to happen at certain times. But for instance, in January, mid-season, we've got the midsummer plantings. And as I said before, that's our last one. That's the one that has to cover Mother's Day. So we've just got different things, you know, like tractor the paddock, solarize the grass, plant the last of the sunflowers, because if you count back from your first frost date, you'll know how long you've got before you run out of time for flowers to bloom. So you need to work that out as well. So 14th of January is our last date to plant sunflowers, because there just won't be enough time for them to bloom before the first frost hits. So I've got other things in here, start eucalyptus, irrigation, and I've also got key dates of the year. So Australia Day, Valentine's, Easter, Mother's Day. So then I'm kind of thinking ahead, and I'll go to these dates, and the flowers that I want to use for those events, I will count back how many days it's going to take for them to grow and mark that date on my calendar of when those seeds need to go in. And I give it like 2-3 weeks extra, because the first bloom date isn't going to give you a bunch of flowers. You need to give it a bit of time to start kicking in. So that's how I worked it out. And the only way I could get my brain around how to figure this out, because I'd watched all these videos and people were just doing it on spreadsheets, and that just didn't make sense to me because I couldn't see it. Whereas when I did it like this, I can see it. I physically can see what's going on. And if you can get an actual calendar paper that's got the lines and the dates, it'll be even easier. But what I did was I wrote all those things down, and then I just bought like a cheap calendar, you know, like one of these flippy ones with pictures. Oh, what is this one? Galaxy in Space, because I like that. I just bought one of these and I transferred all that information over onto the dates on my calendar. Big jobs that have to be done for that month, I mark it out. So in March, we've got to buy some landscaping plants, put in a camellia hedge, which we've decided to hold off on. We need to do some screening plants on the eastern fence, finish the cool flower beds, because if you're going to plant the flowers in autumn, you need to have the beds ready early. Build a seed raising structure. We still don't have that, and we definitely are going to need that before. We're going to have to build that over winter, and do the mulching. So that is a sample idea of how it looks. So now my information is on a calendar, which is very helpful. And then what we do, so this is my planner, my weekly planner. Then what my husband and I do, every single Monday we have a business meeting, and we will sit down and plan our week. So we look at our calendar and we see what's scheduled in for the week, what has to happen, what seeds are going in at that time, what plants are being planted, what events are coming up, and we cross-reference everything else, like what appointments have we got on that week, what have the kids got on. I'm a photographer, so what jobs have I got on, like when are we scheduling these things in so they actually happen. And we've been having a business meeting for years now. Like even when we first met, before we even got married, we were having a meeting because we were trying to figure out how we're going to get married and live in the same country. So we've always got stuff going on. So that is how we've organised things. And I might just take you for a quick walk now, because we've also got some visual planning sheets in our hallway at home, because not only do you need to have all of that planned, but on top of knowing what you're planting and when you're planting it, you also need to know where you're going to plant it. So I've done lots of little sketches of, what's that? That's a job on the back of that. So I've done lots of sketches of our space and our garden beds and what's available and what's going to go where. And the cool flowers, because they're going in first and they will get replaced later on, those beds, we will rip the plants out when they stop sort of producing well. We'll pull them out and we put more stuff in there. So you have to have all that stuff planned out. So the baby's asleep is the hard part. I'm just going to take a wander past, but let's go for a walk. Okay, I'm going to do this quietly, but here's our hallway. This is just a brainstorm of ideas. That's a very rough mock out of our property. That's just the house block. But here is our flower. Here is the flower farm layout. So we've got the house beds here. So the cool flowers, we'll put the Lysianthus foxgloves, which are already in Bells of Ireland. And then we're putting our, what is it called again? Oh my gosh, the sweet peas. The Goditia, still can't say that. And then they get pulled out and my husband puts in his, what's that stuff called? I can't remember. He puts some Mexican thing in there. I can't read my writing. Anyway, and then this is our other cool flowers bed. So 2 rows of ranunculus, Luxbar, yarrow, which we're now having second thoughts about, feverfew, sweet William, poppies, And also we've got the cosmos here and the status. And then, you know, as the summer gets on, we'll get the sunflowers in. The cool flowers will be taken over by summer flowers. And then this patch over here, we plan to just do all zinnias. And then the front rows here will be switched for, sorry, what am I saying? Dahlias. And eventually in the future, the dahlia patch will be all up the back, but we're just building it up. Thinking like tansy or basil or something hedges here. And then in the future, this paddock is going to be a flower meadow with a big, hopefully a big hothouse in the middle. And then this is the flower shed here. There's a dam here with a waterway, so there's a bridge there. So that's our setup. Okay, so we're back. I had to be very quiet because the baby's room is right outside where I was. But yes, we made it. So, that's our plan. And we know that just being the second season that we're doing, it's still not going to be perfect. I think we're always going to be working things out and trying to improve on what we've done. But this year, I think our farm was about 1/4 of an acre, and we're tripling it for next season. So it's a lot of extra work. We're still doing it all by hand. We will probably hire someone to come in and just smooth out our areas this time, and then just build the beds on top. I do still need to do a video to show you our experiment between the no dig, the raised garden beds, or just digging straight into the soil, like just digging a patch straight into wherever with no cardboard or anything under it, because we definitely know what we will and won't do with that next time. So that has informed us also, which has been really helpful. Yeah, I feel like I've just got so much to kind of catch up on and to tell you, but I needed to do this video because this is the plan. And even though summer's finished, but even though the season hasn't even finished yet, we are already working on the next season. Whereas I think a lot of people, the weather starts to cool down and they're slowing down and kind of stopping. But I mean, our lowest temp here in the winter is about -6, and we really only get a couple of nights that low. We do get some really heavy frost though. And we do have snow on a mountain not far from us. I'll show you that mountain also. And the cold air just kind of blows down into the valley onto us. So it kind of gets pretty cold here. But yeah, -6 is roughly what we're dealing with. Okay, so I think that's all for today. Just a really quick run through. Maybe this will help somebody organize themselves. And I've done this year. My husband's been so busy, he's working 2 jobs. So I have planned this all out this year, and then he will do it in the future. So this video is also for him, so he knows what to do next time. Okay, thanks so much everybody. See ya.